Worse with the police state. Don't allow them to buy our police. Stop police privatisation. The police are being privatised. Their pensions are being cut. Their conditions of work are being cut. The police have no employment rights. We are here for the police. We are peaceful protesters. The art is peaceful. Art should not be illegal in London. It would be legal in Hong Kong. Why is what we're doing illegal in London but not illegal in Hong Kong? This is a peaceful demonstration. We are with the police, not against the police. We are against that gentleman over there and his boss, Boris Johnson, because he's in charge of the police. He's instructing the police to suppress our right of information search. It may be funny to you, but it's not funny to the people who are dying on our streets because of the policies of this government and the people who die across the world because of climate change, because you are refusing our right to free speech, sir. It may be funny, but Boris Johnson is not funny today whilst he's enforcing his will on the people of London and taking away our right to freedom. Thank you for coming down here and representing Boris. Have you anything to say, sir? Silence. So you're expressing your right to silence, but you don't even respect our right to democracy and free speech. Shame on you, sir. You'll be held to account in the world's media and the world's judgment. Beside the gentleman there, he's the man enforcing the laws against art, against plastic, against banners, against PA systems, against anything that could express our free will. This gentleman's enforcing and demanding that the police enforce the law. He won't even allow art in London. He won't allow music in London. What the hell has our democracy come to? And we're being arrested for playing a guitar. We're being arrested for having a piece of plastic. We're being arrested for having a piece of guitar falling under our arms. We're being arrested for speaking out against the injustice and lack of democracy in Parliament. And this gentleman stands there leaning against the cage that he ordered to be put in to suppress our democracy. Yes, you did, sir. You're in charge of the company and the corporation security guards. If you're not, who are you?
Good question.
You can come and stand here.
He's taking orders from the Great London Authority, which is Boris Johnson. He's not paid very well. But let's not make it about these individuals. Let's make it about how they are being misused to abuse our rights by those above them. You know, what they want is for this to be about a conflict at this level. What we need this to be about is the powers that be, in terms of what Boris Johnson is doing to impose political policing on a protest that is inconvenient to their interests. Plenty of times, as we all know, and I tried to get the police to engage with this, but they refuse. And I think in this sense they are abrogating their responsibilities as individual officers on the ground. But there are plenty of cases, and anyone can confirm this for themselves recently, where people have been on this square with banners, with amplification equipment, i.e. with those things that are normal to any protest to be effective. And what we're seeing is the totally arbitrary imposition of these laws in the case of this particular protest. And my understanding is the police's job is to apply the rules fairly and consistently, and given that we have enormous evidence they haven't been doing that, we have a very strong argument this is all about political policing. This is all about them wanting to squash a narrative that the vast majority of people actually agree with, including the police, by the way. The power of vested interest to decide political outcomes. They pay for all the main political parties. All the political parties don't have policies that represent what we know from the opinion polls the majority of people actually want. The majority of people don't want rampaging inequality, tax havens, selling off the NHS, crazy trade deals that lock in corporate power for eternity. But that is why they are doing all this. It's why they're squeezing us out of this space that we are allowed to be in 24 hours a day, 7 days a week to protest according to a recent court judgment. Has been no, and I've said this many times, it's worth repeating, there has been no explanation at all as to why this third of the square that everybody can see is undamaged has been shut off to protest. The only reason for shutting down the square has been the need to repair the grass, where the grass clearly is not in need of repair. There seems no reason why this Harris fencing cannot be around 2/3 of the square but not the rest of it. But unfortunately, these people are part of hierarchies, and there is a psychological problem as well as a hierarchical problem that they don't feel in a position.
Happy birthday to Graham!
Can you make a video of my birthday? It's for my children and my grandchildren. Go on. How old are you? You what?
How old?
60 today. Day over 50. Flattery will get you everywhere. Can we go in there, please? Because it's a special day. Can you fix that?
For Graham's birthday, he'd like to be in there.
Come all the way from Brighton, and this is not on.
Don't tell her where you lived, Pike.
Richard the Lionheart bequeathed that to me. And I'm old enough. I have a bus pass now.
Yeah, respect your elders.
Oh yeah.
My hair. Oh, there's a handle in my face.
Oh, thank you.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Graham. Happy birthday to you.
Thank you,
for coming on your
darlings.
birthday.
Thank you. Let's go and get some tea. We can have some cake.
We'd hold it for you. You don't hold it.
So special.
We thought it was nice. It was a raspberry, red velvet cake.
Red velvet.
BBC, coinciding with this global event called March Against Mainstream Media, and we thought that maybe they would have some tiny little paragraph on the website just to try and sort of make some point that they were listening. But despite that, hundreds of people came out, lots of people detailed enormously the many areas in which the BBC either doesn't cover at all or covers in an entirely deceptive way, and there was no comeback whatsoever. So the idea of changing the institution as is rather than sort of radically reforming it seems tricky.
Look, I mean, the thing is, if you give up at every defeat, we will never win, right? That's the thing. And I think it's very, very important to remember one of the lessons, of Occupy at St. Paul's and in America is that now the fact that 1% of the population control 98% of the wealth or whatever it is, everybody knows that. 2 years ago, 3 years ago, hardly anyone was talking about that. Now, when Margaret Hodge takes Google to task for not paying any taxes, the country is in uproar. 5 years ago, people didn't care about this stuff. We changed the framework of an enormous amount of public debate by that, right? So, that's the argument, for keeping on to fight every battle you can. Yeah, and you cannot tell the moment at which people will say, oh, now we know what you're talking about, let's get on with it.
I'll hold it.
Mic check!
Mic check.
Keep it simple!
Keep it simple.
Lord Reith said
Lord Reith said,
when he set up the BBC,
set up the BBC,
controversial issues
must
be treated with due impartiality and balance. God save the King.
Mic check.
Mic check.
Question, Chris.
Question, Chris.
What do you say to those of us
What do you say to those of us
who believe that the BBC's choice of coverage
who believe that the BBC's choice of coverage
is not resting in their hands?
is not resting in their hands?
I think it's, to be straightforward, I think it's a very complicated answer to that question. I really don't think it's true that the BBC are told what to do by the government, nor do I think it is true that they are absolutely free in what they decide to report and the programmes they decide to make. There is a tension of the relationship there between not just this government but previous governments, not just the current BBC but previous ones. And it is interesting, you see, that Lord Reith, interesting about Reith, a very, very establishment figure, during the Second World War, Winston Churchill wanted to nationalise the BBC to control what it said, and Reith resisted that, correctly resisted that. You know, there's always been this tension between the governments of the day on the one hand and the BBC on the other. And I think, you know, that the important thing is that one does everything one can to stiffen the resolve of those people inside the BBC who know what their public job is, to serve the public, to stiffen their resolve so they do not give in to those pressures, and they do not give in to the pressures of the likes of Rupert Murdoch and the conventional media who think that the BBC should be closed down. So I think it's not a simple one-way answer to that.
What about the blackout on Fukushima?
Sorry. No, I'm not. I'm not. He didn't ask for mic check this time. I was surprised. I thought there was going to be more. I mean, I think again, you know, I think you'd be hard pressed to say with complete blackout on that. I can run through many things that I wish were reported at much greater length in the media. But you have to be absolutely realistic about this. You know, there is no way in which every story can be reported at the length that we would like it to be reported by, even on all of the output of the BBC. And that is one of the reasons why it's so important that we do build other sources of information and particularly use the internet to do that.
Fukushima could kill everything on planet Earth!
Can I just ask?
So what it was. Oh, sorry, sir.
All right.
This is actually we're at Parliament Square, the embankment side, and we're here to actually speak to it's a legend of the solar section. The authorities will now amplify because we're prevented from even getting people to talk around here.
Okay, so thank you for coming to listen to me. I've been asked to talk about solutions to some of the problems we have, but let me say something very important first. And I speak, for those of you who don't know me, as a nominally successful capitalist in that I run a company that's turning over more than £100 million. And my experience based on that is that capitalism is broken. It is suicidally dysfunctional. It is destroying, paradoxically, itself, but it is also destroying the future for our children and grandchildren.
Join us! Join it! Join it! Punch your
People do it, so I get annoyed.